The subject of getting paid in boxing and thriller. There's something I want to talk about. This guy, Jake Paul. Jake Gotcha Hat Paul. Isn't that the most obnoxious picture ever seen of someone wearing boxing gloves? uh, it's kind of funny. I'm starting to kind of like the guy. I used to hate him. Um, and I still think the things he said about Ben Askren made no sense because he's like, "Oh, it's gonna be easy for me. It's gonna be easy," but then he's crying when he wins. And again, like Ben Askren is not a striker, and I wouldn't even argue he wasn't really down. The ref did Ben Askren dirty that time, but yeah, I don't know. He was crying after beating Ben Askren in a boxing fight, not an MMA fight, a boxing fight. And then after saying that Ben Askren wasn't good, so why are you crying then? Why is it significant if he's not good? So all that aside, and like what he does, like as a YouTuber, I don't care for. But what he's come to mean to the world of combat sports, I think is interesting because this is going to be painful to say, but Jake Paul comes with some fair arguments to the combat sport world. Because one thing that the Paul brothers know is how to promote themselves. I don't know how much of that is just purely them, how much they have a team helping them with that. If Jake Paul grabs Mayweather's hat and then sells out clothes that say "Gotcha hat," was that thought of by a team behind him, or was that Jake Paul having the idea? I don't know. But the Paul brothers do understand promoting yourself at a level where a lot of fighters don't. They're clueless. There are a lot of fighters who are clueless. You have people who are geniuses at it, like Ben Askren, Israel Adesanya. They know how to promote themselves. Other fighters have no clue, and it pains me to say it, but it has to be addressed. And the proof of that is in how fighters are calling out Jake Paul, hoping to get paid. First of all, Dana White is gonna screw over anyone in the UFC. Let's get out of the way. He's not gonna let anyone box Jake Paul, and that's we've just been over it because Dana White is a piece of shit. But but fighters have been calling Jake Paul in their own ways. They are using traditional fighter methods. Just tweeting, "Hey, I'll beat you up. I'll knock you out. Come on, sign a contract. Let's fight. Hey, stop running." Like Jake Paul is a YouTuber, and it's so funny because the one moment where Jake Paul gave Ben Askren respect was before the fight they were being like in the interview, the press conference, they asked Jake Paul what he thought of Ben Askren promoting the fight, and in that moment, Jake Paul suddenly turned super respectful towards Ben Askren, and that's when you see like Jake Paul is more than a fighter, and I'll call him a fighter, fair enough, but more than a fighter, he's uh, 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 online celebrity. They're about self promotion. They're about marketing in the social media era. They're about getting people to talk about them, to watch them, to click, discuss them, like I'm doing now. By the way, I find Jake Paul a lot less obnoxious than McGregor. Just as a side note. But so it's kind of funny how Jake Paul was giving props to Ben Askren in that moment, where he was like, "Oh yeah, Ben Askren really promoted the fight well," and that was something that Jake Paul really appreciated and really respected him for it and gave him props, and that was kind of like, "Wow, that's actually a compliment." And it was no backhanded compliment. He was really saying like, "Yeah, he did promote it well," and I don't remember how he said it, but he was just like having respect for Ben Askren in that sense of Ben Askren being social media savvy. Uh, so fighters out there, the odds of professional fighters watching my show are very low, but let me, nevertheless, just in case there's a few of you out there, let me give you some advice. You don't call out Jake Paul by writing about it on Twitter and calling him out as a fighter. You call out Jake Paul by creating social media content. Do a video mocking him. Do like post pictures mocking him. Come up with memes mocking him. You have to make it a social media battle first, and then it becomes a boxing match. You do not go straight to the boxing match unless you're like Cormier, who's the next champ, and Jake Paul can see like the dollar signs there. If you're not as big a draw as like Cormier or McGregor, like what you have to do is you have to go through the avenue of social media. If you don't know how to, ask someone in your environment entourage who's social media savvy. If you don't know how to, and you really want that Jake Paul fight, invest, pay someone to do this work for you. Okay, you can pay not a publicist per se, but like there's experts in social media now. There's social media experts. Like their job is to create memes for marketing. There's just make that happen. Just make that happen for you. Pay people if you don't know how to. If you're not like a Ben Askren or Jake Paul who knows how to put themselves out there in social media and create memes and create funny content. Pay someone to do it for you. Believe me. Even if Jake Paul doesn't notice, even if he doesn't get the amount of views that, or even if he notices but doesn't lead to a fight, like even then you already have increased your fan base and you people will be talking about you. They'll because you know when a fighter at this point tweets, "Oh, I want to box Jake Paul." Yeah, you and like 100 other people want to box Jake Paul. No one, you're not gonna stand out. Make a funny video and you're gonna stand out. Make funny social media material. Even if I know you're not about that life, I know you're real fighters, you're not about that. But if you want that money, and if you want people to talk about you, fuck it. Pay someone to do it for you. Pay someone to make the content for you if you have to. That's how you get to that fight, and that's how you get people talking about you. There's a book about, well, it's many years old now, so it's outdated, but it's called Trust Me, I'm Lying, and it's about marketing online. I think the expression was the dark marketing. Well, anyway, so it's just like dirty online marketing tricks. Trust Me, I'm Lying is the name of the book, and outdated and not exactly pertaining to this specific case, but when you read that book, you kind of realize how things work online. Maybe I should apply it for myself, make my channel grow. But I mean, I really think that's what fighters need to do. I think they can learn from Jake Paul.